So the next step, once you are comfortable using these articulations on a scale, you want to start to incorporate them into tunes. And a very easy tune that you can do this with is one that you can find on Jamie Aebersold's play-along CD, the Charlie Parker play-along. It's entitled Now's the Time. You got to hear Charlie Parker playing this. Listen to it first. Listen to the way he articulates. That's going to make a huge difference in how you play. Remember that the jazz is an oral art form. It's something that we have to listen to, not just read from books or study from books, but we have to hear it first. And you'll notice that Charlie Parker is playing with a lot of feel, a lot of swing, and he's ghosting notes. He's using the weights, playing some notes heavier, some notes lighter, some with more articulation, more front to the note. You know, really try to absorb with your ears what he's doing. And so the next thing to do is take a tune like Now's the Time.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You see right there, I played it in a swing style, but I could also play it in more of a classical style, which won't sound so good. Check it out.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you see what's lacking there. I don't really have enough swing happening. I'm not using any type of articulation variation in terms of going from tonguing to slurring. I'm doing all tongued. And the notes are kind of even in terms of weighting the notes. I'm not putting more emphasis on other notes, you know, in ghosting notes. I'm kind of playing them all kind of in the same realm of being even. And granted, I didn't play it strict classical. I played it kind of the way I would imagine a beginner classical musician playing jazz. Now you have to remember that classical articulation, it's primarily the first thing that's taught, you know, in terms of playing even, but it's not necessarily a correct way. It's just a way that people are taught how to play. Now there's plenty of musicians that play jazz that were never taught this classical approach. And in some ways it's easier for them to get the feel right away because they don't have to change the way that they've been doing it. But if you are a trained classical player and that's the way that you've been playing, you're going to have to realize that jazz articulation is different. It is a departure from that. And if you really want to be true to the music, well, listening, like I said, is a great way to do it. Listen and play the way that you're hearing, but also implement these different things, and you'll find that they'll start to make your playing sound more authentic. Now, a reverse way to hear that classical versus jazz approach is to take a piece of music that's normally played in a classical style and maybe play it in a jazz style. For example, something by Bach. So I can take that example from the Brandenburg Concerto and I can put a swing rhythm to it, and it totally transforms the feel. So by doing the same things that we were talking about before, by changing the accents, by changing the feel, the articulation, you can really transform the feel of a piece. So after you've practiced your scales and your tunes using the 3 ingredients for jazz articulation that we've mentioned, the swing feel, slur and tongue combinations, and accents, or different use of dynamics, soft and louds, you're going to want to start to use those in your improvised solos as well. Keep in mind that there's no one way to practice all these things. In fact, the more creative you get with it, that creativity is going to come out in your solos. But you do want to strive to capture that unevenness, which is so much desired in jazz playing. I'd like to play a couple of different examples for you in a solo on that same tune that we played earlier, Now's the Time. And I'll first play in a style that's maybe not quite authentic to jazz. In fact, more along the classical line, and then I'll start to throw in those ingredients and play a second time through and see if you can hear the difference between the inexperienced way where I'm not really swinging the notes enough, I'm not really varying the articulations, I'm not providing enough accents, and then the second way in which I'm doing all three of those things, and as a result getting a much more authentic jazz articulation. So for some more things to practice using these techniques to get the jazz articulation together, you might want to check out the chromatic drills that Willie's posted on jazzeveryone.com, or also volume 21 of Jamie Aebersold's catalog. Getting It Together has lots of great scales and different things that you can use for practicing your jazz articulations. Another great resource are the etudes and exercises that you're already using that might be in more of a classical style, say like the Arbin's book for trumpet or the Clark exercises, which sound like this. Why not change that around and do a jazz articulation? By doing that, you can get a lot more mileage out of the things that you might play every day already and use them as an exercise for playing and getting your jazz articulations together. All that classical music, all that stuff can be used as a really great, valuable resource for learning how to play jazz. It all depends on what ingredients you throw into it and what you're trying to get done. So as with any other techniques in jazz, the most important thing you want to remember, because jazz is an oral art form, is to listen. If you're not listening to the music, there's no way that you're going to be playing it in any kind of way that's authentic or true to the original. So as with any of these great players in the jazz tradition, whether it's bebop or Dixieland or more contemporary stuff that's out there today, the real players that sound great, they've checked out the recordings and the way they're articulating, the way that they're playing the music. It's not just from getting it from a book or from any kind of method. It's from really checking out the recordings and listening to what the masters have done. And you know, you don't have to have a training coming from classical music to apply any of these articulation things that we've been talking about today. It's just a way, if you have been trained that way, you have to realize that you're going to have to maybe rethink some of the things that you might already have as a habit. If you're new to this and jazz is the first type of music that you've been playing, then the same applies for all these different techniques. Just use them, and hopefully with some practice and a lot of listening, you're going to start to really be playing something.